From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, we're trying to find the silver lining after the SEC and Big Ten make another attempt to elbow everybody else out of the college football playoff, apparently. Keeping it simple, will Gus Malzahn's methods lead to instant success? And the things we're feeling good about after baseball's latest win. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com, the world's first and only clinically proven energy shot. You want to know more information, right? After a 14-day clinical study, participants reported, Corey, that 64% said, yeah, great mood booster, these shots. 78% said, yeah, effective at reducing brain fog. 75% said, I'm actually able to focus and concentrate better after merely taking a shot of this delicious potion. Try it for yourself. VitaminEnergy.com. Sip the juice. Shake it and take it. Noles behind this whole operation. No sugar crash. It's just 260, and I say just, it's a lot. It's a lot, everybody. It is. 260 milligrams all natural caffeine. Perfect absorption. None of this artificial caffeine that spikes and dips and such. So give it a try. VitaminEnergy.com. Warchant.com. Ultimate Seminole sports source. Why don't you come on over and hang out, dip your toes in the waters of the Tribal Council, even the Renegade Room, perhaps. Maybe you are a member of Warchant.com. If you upgrade to the gold level, you'll get a $20 gift card to Garnet and Gold, and then you also get access to the Renegade Room. That gives you a bonus segment of Seminole headlines. It gives you first access to X's and O's with Dominic Robinson and Tom Lang breaking things down, and a whole slew of other cool things. So come on down. Join us. Corey Clark, you're part of this whole entire operation. That's why we use you and your presence along many different platforms to bring in the masses. They're here for you. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. He had a good week. Good start to the week.
Yeah, how'd you do on the tables, man?
Horribly. I actually don't even want to talk about it.
Okay.
I will say this. Craps is just not my game. I've tried. My buddies love it. I understand the appeal and the allure. I'm the cooler. I'm horrible luck. So I watched them play basically for 2 days. And then finally, I played other things, but I'm like, you know what? I'm jumping in. I'm going to play. We have the table to ourselves, essentially. It'll be a good time, just the 5 or 6 of us. Literally put $300 out, bet here, bet there, bet on the, whatever, the don't pass or pass line, the pass line, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, within 7 rolls, I'm out of money. Like, literally, one person rolled a 7, rolled the number, rolled the 7. People that know craps know what I'm talking about. Next guy rolled the number, rolled the 7 on the very first roll. That happened 4 straight times. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm done with this. The dealer even said, this is the coldest I've ever seen the table, which was cool. At least I was part of history. I went and played my Pie Gal. I'm sitting there. I'm treading water, which is the beauty of Pie Gal. All of a sudden, I hear a roar. This is 45 minutes later. I hear a roar. It's my same buddy at the buddies at the craps table. I see Shane walk around the dealer and give my friend Braun a hug. And I'm like, yep, that's par for the course. Oh. Here I am. I've lost $20 at Pie Gal. Apparently, they both just won $10,000, and I'm sitting here playing Pie Gal. But that's just my luck at the casino. So I go for the fellowship.
Yeah. Is this like an annual? Is this like an annual guys trip kind of thing?
Yeah, we do. We try to do a guys trip everywhere to Biloxi. We talked about maybe a cruise next time.
Ooh.
Stephanie wasn't a fan of me going on a cruise with a bunch of dudes, but whatever. We'll see what happens.
All right, man. Maybe I need to get my dudes. We need to be doing a trip. Somebody's kicking around possibly New Orleans, which is always a good time. Maybe we can stop in Biloxi on our way there.
There you go.
And see if the table's got bad juju for both of us.
Just me.
Listen, man, I get the thrill of gambling, like not kind of having control, like letting everything go, but having something so relatively important on the line, like your cold hard cash. But rolling dice, I'm all about roulette, and I know roulette's one of the worst ones. But something about like I will let it go to this ball bouncing around this wheel feels more palatable to me than, all right, I need to roll dice and I need them to land on a certain number. Like, no way. I get like, all right, color. It's a coin flip. I've got to hit 6 or whatever. I don't know. Can't do it.
Yeah, no, I've got you, man. I got you. It's a crazy game. It's a fun game, but it's also a very frustrating game.
Yeah. That also probably really sums up college football in the year 2025. It's fun. It's crazy. It's a mess. Don't know how much it makes sense. And apparently we're being elbowed out of the table with all the big boys out in New Orleans on Wednesday, Corey. Sounds like SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti had a bit of a powwow, as well as a lot of their athletic directors from both those conferences, kind of talking about what they want to see happen to the college football playoff moving forward. No big actual changes are on the horizon here, and anything that were to happen still needs to be voted on by the other 10 FBS commissioners, as well as Notre Dame. So anything these guys do isn't necessarily rubber stamped and is going to go through, but they've got a lot of money behind them and a lot of important folks behind them. I guess the one thing maybe most people listening to this would not have a problem with, it sounds like there's a consensus starting to kind of build around, well, if we're going to do this 12, if it gets to 16 teams, playoff, we can't do what we did this past year and give the highest four conference champions, the highest ranked four conference champions first round buys, which to me, I don't know if this is like, bargaining so that we don't get our throat slit and left for dead here. But I'm like, all right, I'm cool with that.
I think the seeding is actually something that needs to be done. And what you worry about, man, when it comes to these meetings is like, especially with Florida, as long as Florida State's in the ACC, which will at least be, it looks like a few years longer, is they're making all the rules without you. Like the people that the people that run those two conferences feel like they run the sport, and there's a good reason for that, because they do. Because, well, let me put it this way: nobody else is running it. There's no stewardship at all. So Greg Sankey feels like he's the most powerful. He's the college football commissioner, and he talked about on Wednesday. He talked about how he didn't want to make any. He wouldn't go into detail about them getting 4 automatic bids, the SEC and the Big Ten getting 4 automatic bids. He's like, I want to talk to the other athletic commissioners, the other commissioners, and let them weigh in. It's like, yeah, you do, dude. Whatever. No, you don't. You're saying something publicly, but we all know behind the scenes you're going to make this happen. It's your baby. It's what you want. I'm just reading now as we started this. Stuart Mandel wrote a story about how the Big Ten is discussing a play-in tournament to get in the college football playoff. So the 2 teams that qualify for the championship, the Big Ten championship, they're automatically in the playoffs.
All right, I'm cool with that.
Then number 3 in the Big Ten plays number 6 in the Big Ten. Number 4 in the Big Ten plays number 5 in the Big Ten. Whoever wins those 2 games, they also qualify for the playoffs. So eventually,
they want 4 teams. That's
right. That's how they get
that.
to 4 teams. The SEC will do it too. I guess again, why do you guys get to make rules like this? Just because you got the TV deals 20 years ago? You get to basically control the future of the sport? That seems fair and wise, because Lord knows you guys have done a bang-up job since you've been in control of really making this sport equitable and fair and not at all a pioneer ghost town with people not a ghost town, just a pioneer town where anybody can go storm into a saloon and get anybody they want whenever they want. Like it's utter chaos right now, this sport. And I don't know, man. Golly. I every time one of these stories happens where it's like Sankey gracing us with his words about the future of the sport, it's like, yeah, he's saying this is a possibility. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen, because who's going to say no? The guy runs the sport. So we'll see where it goes. But it's frustrating, but it's also understandable, and it's inevitable. I guess the question is, when does it go to 16?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to jump too far. I just wanted to kind of let's start off with some common ground. Let's get possibly rid of the seeding. Let's just go ahead and let the committee.
Yeah.
Which I guess that also is still problematic. But they're going to go ahead. They're going to rank the 12 teams 1 to 12, and that's how we're going to go ahead and figure out the buys. We're not going to do any kind of Mountain West. You ended up having a really great season. You get a first-round buy. But then when we get to the fact...
Well, that was dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb. Like, why would that have even been a thing at all? Like, why was that even agreed to at all? It was ridiculous that Boise State and Arizona State had buys. Why? Because who came up with the idea that a conference winner automatically gets a bye? Why would that even a conference
they were
winner
the highest ranked?
The highest ranked.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to be that never made sense. Like, it just never made sense. Like, just whoever you think the 4 best teams are that have qualified, that are in the playoffs, like that would be like the only conference tournament champions can get a number 1 seed in the basketball tournament. That's ridiculous. Duke can lose the first game of the ACC tournament. They're probably going to be a 1 seed. Like, it has no impact. It's just dumb to anchor yourself to a rule like that, because what happens is, BYU gets a bye and Arizona State gets a bye. Meanwhile, Georgia and Clemson don't, and Texas doesn't. I don't know. It was dumb. It was dumb when they announced it at the time, and it was dumb when it was played out in reality.
All right, so according to some of the writing from ESPN, sources in the Big Ten seem more aligned in their desire for automatic qualifiers, which I guess maybe this is them playing good cop, bad cop. Maybe they just want 4 teams pretty much. They'll take that. But Sankey's like, how about you float it out there, Tony, that you want automatic qualifiers? I'll straddle the fence, and then we'll use that as kind of our weather vane trial balloon. But a popular model includes 4 guaranteed teams, each from the Big Ten and SEC, 2 each from the Big 12 and ACC, 1 spot for the highest ranked Group of 5 champion, and 1 at-large spot, which could go to Notre Dame if the Irish were ranked high enough for inclusion.
So isn't that 14 teams?
I guess it's their strong preference for when this expands to 14, most likely in 2026 and beyond.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And look, man, I'll be honest with you. I know everybody wants out of this conference for a variety of reasons, and you're all right. If you make Charlotte, that means you're going to the playoff. The problem with that, again, is who cares about the win in Charlotte if you can get healthy and rest up for the game that matters 9 days later? Like, they are completely.
What do you mean?
If you give automatic berths. And I guess I'm talking more about just like the problem with this playoff structure and having to keep the conference championship games, which I think become meaningless. Maybe they get rid of them. That would be wonderful. But like, if you're going to keep the conference championship game, Florida State's 10-2. They made Charlotte, so they're one of the 2 ACC guaranteed entries. Why? And there's no guarantee if they win the game they get a bye. Why then play hard at all? Why not? Let your scout team play and rest and recover for the games that matter. Treat it like the NFL treats Week 17, or I guess Week 18 now, for the teams that have already advanced to the playoffs. Let a quarterback let him have a drive, and then who cares? Like, that's what they've done to the sport to an extent, which is, again, it's all for money and one true champion and all that, but I understand it. I'm not naive to it, and I'm an old man, screaming at a cloud, but it makes the conference championships meaningless and obsolete if each conference gets automatic berths. 2, multiple.
Well, I think
the Clemson SMU game didn't matter. I guess it didn't turn out to matter that much. Well, yeah, it did, because Clemson got
in. They weren't going to get
Clemson
it if
got
they lost. Yeah. Well, I think Tony Petitti and the Big Ten have it right then, and I think conference championship week totally changes by them saying auto bids. They didn't necessarily say the top 4 teams, right? Like, they didn't say our 4 best teams, our 4 highest ranked teams, the 4 teams with the most wins. And Jim Phillips mentioned it last month about, when we do figure out exactly the path forward here with the automatic bids for per conference, like, maybe we'll change things up. So, to the point of listen, when everything that's on fire right now in college football, if we were to lose the sanctity of championship weekend, I think we could all live with that. That has not been really part of the fabric of the sport for all that long. So, yeah, make it to pretty much, I guess, the Big Ten maybe has it right. If they've got 4 spots to give away, it sounds like, your top 2 teams, you're in. Then we'll have a playoff with our other 4 teams, and then those 2 winners will go on. Those will be our 4. SEC probably does something similar. And then the ACC and Big 12 is like, all right, man, we're going to do a 4-team playoff. We're going to have our own CFP, if you will. We'll have a 4-team playoff. Those 2 teams, they end up going to the playoff, which to that point.
Oh, I see. So then the 2 winners don't play the championship.
Yeah, so we're no longer having to play that game. And then
that's perfect. That's fine if they want to do it that way. Yeah, I would love that. It'd be a really cool weekend.
Yeah, and then
this past conference championship weekend was kind of a dud. Like
Oh,
Georgia and
for sure.
Texas played, big deal. We knew both of them were in.
Yep.
Clemson, the Clemson SMU game was entertaining, and it definitely got Clemson into the playoffs. So there was some drama there. But the Ohio State
Oregon game didn't matter.
Yep, it wasn't Ohio State.
It was
Oregon, Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah, it didn't matter. We both knew they were in. So it would be really cool then for people to actually be playing for their seasons.
Yeah, only Iowa State and Arizona State did in the Big 12.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
It was Iowa State. Arizona State got in because of the win, and Clemson.
Yep.
Out of all those were the two teams that used it to their advantage. Everybody else, it didn't matter one way or the other, and it was just these are pointless, but they're moneymakers. But if you can figure out a way to make that weekend really even more relevant, I'm all for it. Look, man, this isn't a joke. If you and I and like 5 of our friends, or Ira, me, you, and Ira, decided we got to run college football, they just gave us the keys, we would do a pretty good job because we have the best interest of the sport at heart.
Absolutely.
I wonder about the people that really do have the power. I don't think they do. I absolutely
should they though, Corey? And I don't want to be devil's
I know
advocate.
we do this again. Yes,
Well, you know.
I saw Dan Wetzel tweet about this because he was complaining about Sankey, and I like Dan Wetzel. He's a good journalist, and that's an endorsement he's been waiting a long time to get. So Dan,
Damn right. Yeah, there you go. Put that in your Twitter bio.
Yeah, exactly right. Good New Year for you already. That he said college football is like a public trust. He views it more as a public trust, not just satisfying your shareholders. It is a public trust that you do need to think about the good of the sport, not just the good of your constituency. And I think the NFL does that, the NBA does that, although they've screwed up some things, but they try to think about the sport as a whole. College football is a huge sport that doesn't, because there's nobody to do it, and that's where we've gotten to where these two leagues have all the power. And
what bothers me about that sentiment is that I think, if Greg Sankey heard that, I think he would roll his eyes so hard and give us such a condescending, patronizing statement. And it's like, I understand you've got to represent your 16 universities and do what's best for them. But to Wetzel's point, man, there's degrees to all of this. And you seemingly, Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, are really taking it to the most nth of degrees to totally isolate yourselves, plunder everything, and better your schools and your universities without nary a care about anybody else. And I'm not trying to sound naive. I understand how the world works. We're all looking out for number one to a certain degree. But yeah, to Wetzel's point, there is more than just your 16 teams. I don't think Sankey or Petitti, I don't know, to reach that level of where they're at, I don't think you could even have that level of empathy, if you want to call it that.
I don't know if they grew up college football fans, and that's not a judgment. I don't know that they do. I don't know their backstories. I think
Petitti went to Notre Dame.
Before.
Petitti went to Notre Dame, I think.
But was he a dude that was tailgating? Or was he a dude that went to Notre Dame that just wanted to be an administrator? Like, is it in his blood? Right. And again, that's not a judgment, but it's in my blood. It's what the people that are listening to this show, it's in their blood. It's how we grew up. My childhood is steeped in college football. It's my favorite sport. It's what I grew up loving. It's what I still love despite itself. And I don't know that the people that are in charge care enough about the sport itself, about the sanctity of it. I know people can roll their eyes at that, but man, there is something missing in this sport that probably won't ever come back. I think that ship has sailed. But I don't want to feel like a fool for still loving that time of college football where it felt like the whole country mattered and everybody, like it wasn't just one league that ran everything, because it didn't. In the 90s, the SEC was a joke. Georgia didn't do anything. Alabama had 2 years out of 10. It was Florida. In LSU a couple of times. That's it. That's all again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Florida State, the school, the program, had as many top 5 finishes as the entire SEC combined in the 90s. The entire conference had as many they had one less top 5 finish as a conference that Florida State did as a program. So let's not act as if the SEC invented the wheel. They just took over. They just took control of it when the money started pouring in. They just happened to be at the ready to steer, but it wasn't built by them, and that's what bothers me. It wasn't built by Greg Sankey. Like Nick Saban kind of built Alabama, so yeah, man, he has the right to do whatever he wants with that program. I feel like Greg Sankey. I don't know. I'm on a rant, and it.
That was Mike Slive really got the SEC rolling, and then Sankey kind of inherited it.
I think that was good for the sport. And it was a great move for the. It was a great, brilliant move by him to do the conference championship game. He did it. That was 92, right? Was the first one?
I don't know if Slive did that, but
I thought he did. Maybe. Oh no, that was Kramer.
Yeah,
that was Kramer. Then Slive came in. Slive came in after that and really got it rolling and got the media to talk about how the SEC was far and away the best. And obviously, it really reached its zenith in 2014, and it's also been the best conference. So it's not like it's built on a false premise, but it's not the most dominant conference in the history of the world. But it's treated that way, and that now this guy dictates the future of the sport. That bums me out. But who would? Who's supposed to take over? There's no mechanism in place for anybody else to run this sport. I hope they figure out a way to make that happen, honestly.
The story from ESPN.com does end with, as far as the CFP conversation, Sankey said the Big Ten and SEC have, quote, deployed leadership in a responsible way. Moving forward, Tony described a methodology that was agreed to by everyone a year ago for how decisions will be made by everyone, not dictated by us, agreed to by everyone, Sankey said. We have a responsibility to use that wisely.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. Good to hear.
Another thing to keep in mind.
Let's hold them to it.
Yes.
Let's hold them to it.
Absolutely. One last thing to keep in mind before we take a break here real quick. Bringing it back, obviously, here to Florida State. And if we do get into the 14 teams and 26, and it does become 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, 2 from the Big 12, 2 from the ACC, and then an at-large, a.k.a. Notre Dame probably most likely, and then the best non-group of 4 program. It circles back to, I understand again, and this is me putting a spin on it, a bright side on it, but it's rooted in the reality that Florida State's mired in litigation against the ACC that seemingly is going to take a long time to work itself out until it doesn't and something crazy black swan event happens and it all gets settled really quickly, but I just don't know when that's going to happen, Corey. So if they remove the championship game component and they do like this quasi-tournament thing, again, like it's not only just make it to Charlotte be one of the 2 best teams in this otherwise second-tier conference, quote-unquote, and you'll make it to the playoff. Man, if you're just in the top 4 in this conference, you have a legitimate shot to get to the playoff.
I like that. I think that's a good. I think that's a good deal. And also, it's basically a playoff game, right?
Yeah.
And so if you get to the top 4, you've made the playoff. You get to. If you keep winning, you keep playing. That's a cool. I think that's not a bad idea. And honestly, look. In the meantime, like you said, 2026. If that's the reality, it's probably easier to get in the top 4 in the ACC than it is the top 6 in the SEC, right?
Yeah,
I would think. I mean, look at the teams this year in those 2 conferences. Like, all Florida State has to do is be Florida State-ish, and they will be playing for a right to play in the playoff every year. That should be the bare minimum, especially when you think about the other schools in this conference. That should be bare minimum to expect to at least be one of the top 4 teams. And then you're just a perennial playoff contender, Aslan. And the money pours in.
Well, the people that are yelling at us and they're like, we're not going to have enough money. No players are going to want to come to Florida State. They're going to want to go to the SEC. I'm just not there in 2026. If this were to continue on to 2031, then 2029, 2030, there are concerns by that point. That's four years of you getting lapped by $30 million a year. At that point, yes, maybe then that becomes a problem. But I just don't think between now and 2026, 2027, it would get that far out of hand to where a place that cares so much about this sport that they got rid of a coach 1.5 seasons into this thing, went ahead and gave the guy who really only had, 2022 was a good season too, I shouldn't say, had 2 good seasons out of 4 years. They ended up making him one of the 3 highest paid coaches in the country. The school that has the appetite to do those kind of things, I think has the appetite to figure out a way to continue to acquire talent and keep a very competitive football team until they figure out their long-term goal of getting out of this conference or getting the entire conference to reassess its way of paying out money. So.
Well, and also, again, remember, for the conversation we were just having, you won't have the money. You might be able to get the recruits that Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia are getting, but you're not playing them on the regular. You just have to have a better team than Boston College, Pitt, and Wake. Yeah. That's who you're competitive. I'm talking about to get to the playoff. That's what you have to do. That's issue number one. Let's cross that bridge, and then a couple of times if Florida State rolls into the playoff 12-1, crushing the ACC, and then goes and plays an SEC team and gets beat by 40, looks like they're playing a different sport, then yes, those complaints will be justified and they will manifest themselves. But right now, the money is not an issue when it comes to being competitive in the ACC. You have a bigger bankroll than every single ACC team on your schedule. So use it wisely. And I think they have this year, Aslan. I think they have.
I think y'all should check out the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Thursday and play some bingo, everybody. 4 rounds, $250 cash, cold, hard U.S. dollars up for grabs each single round at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. This after their delicious daily lunch special from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99. That also comes with a side dish of your choice. Not in the lunch sort of mood, maybe you like to eat at your desk. All right, well, when you get out of work, go check out Corner Pocket Bar and Grill for their weekday happy hours from 4 to 7 p.m. It's a real thing. Can't believe it. And then Sunday all day long. We're kind of in a sport oasis right now, aren't we? It's I guess college basketball for some people,
yeah.
NBA,
college baseball.
Yeah, man. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Also, Friday at 8 at the Corner Pocket, Hot Mess, live music. Tallahassee Staple will be there singing, I think they're like 80s and 90s hits, cover band. But yeah, that's the live music for. They're good. They're really good. I've seen them a couple of times. They play songs I like and they play them well. So yeah, they'll be there Friday night starting at 8. Little live music at CP.
What's the line in Step Brothers about? We strictly do 80s Joel music, sir.
Yeah, but it's like before.
Yeah.
It's like before one of the out. It's like on. It's before 19. It's like post 1981 or something, or post 1982.
All right.
Because they keep requesting like Piano Man or something. It's like no, we do after 1982.
Yeah. All right, check it out. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Put that in the GPS and go find joy. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant. It's presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Sip the juice. Shout out to our Matt Lasser a few weeks ago was out there in Orlando. Corey hopped into the Nike Coaches Clinic. Gus Malzahn, Mike Norvell, Tony White were all speakers. And then he did a nice little breakdown here earlier in the week, or maybe over the weekend, and we didn't get to it on the show, which we'll have one more show for you this week, everybody. Mailbag, Renegade Express. Generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Get involved. Win free swag from our great friends over at Cummins. 5 takeaways he had from Gus's Coaches Clinic discussion. I wanted to focus on one of them because, I don't know where we're going to end up setting the bar before August 30th ultimately, but I guess this is kind of a good start. Playing to the quarterback's strengths, which sounds pretty obvious to a lot of us out there. But Gus said, do what's best for your quarterback. Every play, everything, do what's best for the quarterback. Not what's best for the line, not what's best for your receivers, what's best for him. Play to his strengths. Don't ask your quarterback to do something he can't do at a high level. I think that is one of the biggest things to being successful at any level of football. It's a simple game. If I have the best deep post runner, I need to scheme it up to where he's going to be the deep post runner. If I've got the best reverse guy, he's going to run a reverse. If I got the best slant guy on 3rd down and medium, we're going to throw that slant to him whether they know it's coming or not. And I guess I can appreciate that, Corey. If we're going to go down on our sword, on our shield, if we're going to go down in a hailstorm of flames, let's just identify guys, and I feel like he probably kind of maybe has hinted at he's got those guys possibly now. Like maybe Squirrel White's like that guy that's going to be able to run the reverse for them best. Maybe it's Mekhi Danzy. He's going to identify these particular players to perform these particular roles. And I'm okay if it's 3rd and 6 and Deuce Robinson, and it's November and Deuce Robinson has 55 catches and 24 of them have been 3rd down conversions. I'm comfortable with that. Sometimes I want to overthink things and throw the element of surprise, but maybe this offense has been where he's starting from. It's such a low bar to getting back to basics. Maybe it really is as simple as just identifying guys in very particular roles, and no matter what's going to happen, everyone knows what's coming at them, but they've just repped it so well. They're so physically superior that it'll work itself out. How do we process and interpret those comments from Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're smart, but we're not surprised, right? Like he's good at it. He's really good at this. Like I'm not sitting here saying he's a great head coach because he's not. I would sit here and say he is an elite offensive coordinator and has been for 2 decades. So I would listen to him. But, it sounds simple, but sometimes the simple thing is the smartest thing, most times, honestly. And I think that's what he's saying is, like, if I have a quarterback that can run around, I'm going to do something to help my quarterback. I'm going to highlight those strengths. It just makes sense. It just makes sense.
I know, but how often were we seeing guys thrown in and out, like sub packages where it's like, why are we throwing the sub package out there? Just give Toafili the ball. Just keep.
Yeah.
I always like feed Lawrence and we would have been gosh knows where, but so many times it just felt like, all right, particular down and distance situation, let's roll out this personnel grouping. And it's like, man, you don't have to do all that. At least you shouldn't be when you're struggling as bad as Florida State was in 2024.
Man, no. Look, though, you're not going to convince me that anything that was done in 2024 was the right thing to do because it wasn't on that side of the ball, not even close. I think that I don't know why there was never a hot hand. Honestly, there was some lukewarm hands occasionally, but as soon as they hit a run or two, they're back on the sideline. I don't understand the rhyme or reason to the tailback rotation at all. I also don't think it's like when you have a bad offense in baseball, you can tinker with the lineup and move the pieces around some. At the end of the day, it's still probably going to be a bad offense. There were no real answers that Norvell had, but what he tried certainly didn't work. And I don't think Malzahn's going to – we know that, right? Like Malzahn's had guys – that have run for 1,600 yards lots of times.
Yes.
He'll usually have 2 receivers with 50 catches or somewhere around there, or one with 70 and one with 20. Norvell had a couple of years like that, but since he's been at Florida State, he's been against it. Like, honestly, I know Keon was banged up at the end of the year. Keon should have had 10 catches a game. Like, he only had
10 targets.
Yeah, he had 700 yards the whole season. Like, that was a really good player that weirdly, although he had 11 touchdowns, felt kind of underutilized because it was like you had to get other people involved. I don't think Malzahn cares about that at all. If you're good and you're making plays, he's going to keep finding you're going to keep making plays. And he does not have any – what I think might happen when you recruit guys and they're your guys and you want to get them some carries and some touches, you feel like you owe it to them. Maybe you said you'd do some stuff in recruiting, like, yeah, we plan to play you, or you told them that week in practice. Remember the Miami game? Was it the Miami? No, not the Miami game. It was one of the games where Kromenhoek was supposed to play and didn't. You remember that? He came out and said it?
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Clemson game. But Brock Glenn played pretty well against Clemson, and Kromenhoek never got in. And Norvell, I think that post game that night, was like, yeah, the plan was to get Luke involved, and we didn't. He made a point of addressing it. Yeah. I'm sure, in hindsight, it was to, let the family and the player know you're still very much in our plans and assure them, I know what I said, I apologize for it, but we won't make that mistake in quotes again. You will get to play. And it's like, man, who cares? The starter was playing well. Now, you shouldn't have told. Maybe you shouldn't have told Luke Kromenhoek that he was going to get some series. You should have said, look, if Brock struggles a little bit, you'll get some series. But Brock had a decent game, man, and you're the backup, so you don't get to play. I think Norvell wanted to get a lot of his guys involved, to get them on the field, to give them their chance, because he had told them, or they'd practiced well, the recruiting pitch, whatever it was. Gus Malzahn's not bound to any of that. He doesn't care. Because you've been here for 4 years? I don't care. You're not as good as Croma. Sorry, and I'm just saying if this is how it takes place. I'm a Keziah fan. You guys know that. Oh, Cam Davis. Your coach said you were a superstar in the making, and he thinks you have a chance to be an NFL running back. Sorry, man, I don't see it, at least not right now. You're not playing. I got guys better than you right now. He doesn't feel it doesn't. I don't think he will feel the pressure or the need to play a lot of guys. He's gonna and if something works, he's gonna keep doing it. That's what good offensive coordinators do. And I know some people aren't maybe the most fired up about this hire. He is a good offensive coordinator. Don't know if they're going to be a good team. He is a good offensive coordinator that will make this at least a decent offense in year one.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think also about him discussing his penchant for wanting to keep teams on their heels, constant pressure by running this offense at a 2-minute pace the entire game. I think
I like it.
I want to say there's more similarities between Mike and Gus's offense, but I feel like you can maybe squint your eyes and start convincing yourself that there's more things that they differ on, because I mean, tempo really has not been utilized. I mean, Mike's aggressive in certain ways, but not that way, right?
No, yeah, they were a slow team. They were a slow-paced team. They even were when they had a good offense in 22 and 23. They certainly weren't fast-paced. I like it, man. I like the idea. Because here's what I'm envisioning, right? Is a year or two from now, Florida State's going to have really good players, better players than this. And if they're what the program should be, and they have the talent at these positions that they should have, like Deuce Robinson, we know the wide receivers should be pretty good, but maybe the next round of receivers are all first-round picks. Well, don't hamstring them by only playing 56 snaps a game. Like, if you have the better team, we've said this before, right, Aslan, ad nauseum at times, and it was one of our biggest gripes with Jimbo. When you have the superior team talent-wise, the more plays, the better. It gives you more chance to distance yourself. If you only run 55 plays in a game, the chances of you blowing them out are very small. You haven't run enough plays, and it's just a great equalizer when the plays can be shortened like that. It's like mud. If you're the better team and you're the more athletic, physical, fast team, but you're playing in mud, well, that equalizes it.
Well, it was a Georgia Tech game.
Right. So, well, it turns out Georgia Tech was probably better than had better players than Florida State. We didn't know that at the time. But, yeah, Florida State never got the ball. They had 6 possessions. That's ridiculous. In a college football, you practice all this and you had 6 possessions? You've been practicing for 10 months to run 51 plays? Really? Come on, man. That's nuts. So I would love that to get up around 80. I think the more plays you run, if you have a good offense, it just stands to reason. It's simple math and logic. If you have a good offense, or if you have the better team, the more plays your team is on the field, the better chance there is that your team is going to win and maybe win pulling away. It's like why North Carolina, when they were really good at basketball, and Roy Williams always wanted to run and go fast, because he had better players. The more possessions in a game, better odds that his team, over the course of a heavy possession game, would distance itself and win. It gives them a better chance. It gives them more at-bats. It's what you want. Like, it just makes sense, man. It just makes sense. James Tibbs, you don't bat him 8th where he only gets 3 at-bats a game. You bat him 2nd or 3rd so he gets 4. You get him an extra bat. That's the whole goal, is to give yourself more chances to do good things. And that's why you should run more plays when you have a good offense. Last year, they should have tried to run 21 plays a game. Maybe up to 30.
Florida State ran 763 plays last year. UCF ran 847. That's 84 more. So over the course of 12 games, 7 plays. 7 plays.
That's a drive.
Yeah.
Well, in the case of 2024 Florida State, that was 2 drives.
Yeah.
In the third drive would have been the pick. So 2 3-and-outs and a fumble or an interception.
Moving along to baseball. They're coming off their 4th win of the night, or rather the 4th win of the season after a Tuesday night victory over USF 6-2 down there in Tampa. Start on the bump by Evan Crest, transfer. Is he from Jesuit too?
No way. Really?
I don't know. I don't think so. I should have probably.
I think Sheffield's kid was a Jesuit kid, right?
Yeah. I mean, Jamie Arnold's Jesuit, Joey Valino's.
Well, their whole starting rotation is the weekend guys are all Jesuit guys.
Crest, he's a Jackson. He was at JU. He's a Tampa guy. Wharton.
So, okay.
Tampa represents.
That sounds fancy.
Yeah. 6-2 win. Cal Fisher, good night for him. 2 for 5, had 2 RBIs. Max Williams absolutely crushed one. I think he hit it to Sarasota, which kind of gave some distance for Florida State. But again, man, they showed timely hitting, some small ball aggressive stuff on the path. I think Chase Williams had a they call it a triple.
Was it not?
I mean, I guess it was. He's just so damn fast. He just hit it to the right field wall. But it was a triple.
Well, he made it sound like it was a fly ball that got lost in the lights or something.
I think they got credit for a triple that Gage Harrelson seemed to have misjudged the bounce, but it really just did something completely crazy that you would not have seen out of 100 base hits to right field. But yeah, Chase Williams had 2 RBIs. Cal Fisher had 2 RBIs. Really good performance out of Max with that home run. And then the bullpen comes in and pretty much is able to keep everything under control against a USF team that's kind of reloading, that's kind of retooling things. It's early in the season, but I think at one point on Wednesday night, they were the number 1 team in RPI, Corey, this baseball team. So
what? Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So any takeaways from the 4th win of the season out of 4 games for Florida State?
No, man. I mean, they got arms. We know that. That was on display again. It was a good outing by Crest. Abraham, Barrett got to pitch. Prescott came in and pitched again. He throws 96. What I like is I think they made 1 error in 4 games. They had 9 strikeouts on the night against UCF or USF in 3 walks. I mean, that's how you're going to win, man. As long as you don't give them extra outs.
And one of the guys had 4 strikeouts too, just to not to point.
No, I was talking about the pitching had 9
right.
strikeouts. Yeah, the Miles Bailey struck out. We're going to have to do better about that. But yeah, so they've committed 3 errors in 4 games, which is not bad at all. I'm trying to look who the other error was on. Yeah, I didn't like that Bailey. Farrow made a bad error. That was it. And so I'm sorry, they've committed 2 errors in 4 games. That's a great. Take that. And then I'm looking at the strikeout to walk ratio. It's 49 strikeouts and 9 walks as a pitching staff through 4 games. That's going to play. Yeah, that's going to play. It's 49 strikeouts in 35 innings and 9 walks. That's in college baseball. If you can have that ratio, you are going to win and not boot the ball, you're going to win so many games. Again, this offense isn't loaded up maybe with major leaguers or first-round picks. It might be, but they might be young right now. But the guys that end up having the highest topside might be the young ones. But, man, just, again, to go down, first road game, again, not a great team that they're playing, but certainly not a pushover, man. Yeah. USF can play. It's the state of Florida. They all can play. They all got players. To go down there, guys that hadn't pitched, Barrett and Crest especially pitched, I guess, basically combined for almost 8 innings and gave up one run. That's good to know because you feel good about the weekend guys and you feel good about a lot of the bullpen guys. But yeah, that's another box checked off with the road win and getting another 11 hits. It's good stuff, man.
11 strikeouts though, don't like that.
Yeah, but again, 4 of them were by Bailey. And you have a lot of it back. And Link brought up a good point. It's actually a good point. I never really thought about it like this because it was brought up that his team on Sunday when they beat James Madison, they struck out 10 times. And he goes, well, look, we had 15 hits. So that's a lot more chances to strike out because it's a lot more at bats. You know what I mean? Like if you only get 5 hits and they had 11 hits. So that's 11 extra at bats plus some walks. You're having a lot more plate appearances. Well, odds are the more plate appearances you're going to have some more strikeouts. If the percentage of strikeouts to plate appearances remains steady and low, then that's really what you're worried about. But yeah, if you're gonna pound out double-digit hits, there are going to be some strikeouts that come with it. And again, 4 of them were by one guy. The rest of the team did a pretty good job putting the ball in play.
I hesitate to almost bring this up because I don't want to jinx it, but for the first 5 years we did this show together, the eternal question was, are good fielders born or created? Because even stretching before you and I started doing this podcast, middle of the defense for Florida State, not always up to kind of par. And listen, Alex Lodice has been really solid at shortstop, and just want to kind of tip the cap to Link for identifying a guy, bringing him in here, and seeing that we all know the benefit of having strong defense, but the fact that they have that ability now, and it's probably not going away because you just feel really good about Link and his ability to identify everybody and get everybody in the right role. Because there's so much room for this team to continually grow, but what he's shown us so far, Link, in terms of identifying what he wants to get fixed and then going and getting the fixes, he just keeps checking all those boxes. And again, I know it's really early. They got to play Penn this weekend, and who knows, maybe they'll get upset. and no longer be undefeated. But just little things like that just kind of keep stacking on top of every game that this team plays. You're like, man, they're in such good hands.
Man, I don't think those aren't little things. Fielding is a really big thing, and they are so much better at it. And you're right. I don't know if it's the way he runs practice. It's not like when Mike Martin Jr. and then Sr., the last decade of his career, when they couldn't field either. It's not like they didn't practice fielding the ball. I don't know if they were trying to put guys at shortstop and second that shouldn't be there, but they could hit or thought they could hit. But I don't know if it's the way they run practice or it's just, Alex Lodice is a gifted fielder, and go get him. Go get them and put them on your team. That makes your defense look a lot better. But, Florida's always a really good fielding team. You know, they've been a really good fielding team since O'Sullivan's been there. Now, they go get really good players. They're Florida. Well, you're Florida State. You should be able to get really good fielders too, and it's good to know that they're here. Fisher, we'll see, but I like him at third too. He might be the wild card of the whole season. That kid.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like Link loves him. He even tried to last year. He tried to get him in the lineup if Lodice or Faroux were ever struggling for a couple games. Cal Fisher was in there, he really likes him. Said he was really impressive when he recruited him out of where's he out of?
Wisconsin,
Indiana?
I think.
Wisconsin, yeah, one of those Midwestern states. And he's been good so far. Not great at the bat, but good. And I just think he's a natural shortstop that's playing third. So that should make your left side of your infield pretty darn good. Maybe not as good as last year, obviously, with Cam Smith, but I like him, man. He's gonna be a really pivotal piece. If he could take that next step and go from potential to, like, I don't know, man, honorable mention All ACC caliber, like 310 with 12 bombs and 50 yard, like one of those kind of good on base percentage. That's a nice addition to this lineup because we all know what they lost. But if Fisher can make a big stride, along with the strides that it appears Lodice is making and Faroux have made, it could be a decent offense.
Yeah,
only 52 games left.
Yeah.
In the regular season.
Yeah, I think Link is so absolutely singularly focused and unapologetic about everything and demands that. Yeah. Whereas I think, with 11, I don't know. Golly, for what he accomplished in those last few seasons, to take the foot off the gas wouldn't surprise me. But the guy was a competitor until the very last out that he had in Omaha. But with Meat, I feel like Meat had such a, I'm trying to figure out the right way to put this, but I just think Meat didn't suffer fools easily. It's just like, this is what it is. This is what it needs to be. Just figure it out. And that seems all well and good when you're putting this amount of responsibility on a 20-year-old kid to, we're not going to hold your hand. But I just think that there was a level of absence of either properly thinking and vetting these positional fits or misfits through that I don't think Link will even leave open to chance. It's so laser focused on every single aspect of this program where I think, Meat was like, listen, in the aggregate of the entire way the game of baseball works, we'll be okay, even if we don't field immaculate, because we'll get on base, and over the course of 9 innings, we'll get those guys across, and we'll have good enough pitching. But they didn't have good enough pitching those last several years. They did not have good enough fielding for years on years on top of that. And what we're seeing right now, and this is like the second part of the reboot, if you will, for Link, this offense is probably not going to be as awesome as last year. Probably won't be, but a little bit of athleticism, a little bit better defensive play, and then the amount of arms they have out of the bullpen, that's going to be the way forward. And next up is the Penn Quakers? Are they the Quakers, or am I making that up?
No, you're not making that up. They are the Quakers indeed.
Get some. Meanwhile, softball will be having the Joanne Graff Classic, so go out there and support the softball team.
Starting today, I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't it start on Thursday? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be a inter-city or cross-city clash between FAM and Florida State at 3:30. Then on Friday, doubleheader against SELA, Southeastern Louisiana University. And then, doubleheader Saturday against number 6 Texas A&M, 3 p.m. and 5:30.
Yeah, all right. That'll be, go out there and support the ladies. They're good and they're fun to watch. Well, I guess you could do both, right? You could probably pull double duty with baseball and softball.
Yeah.
I would think. I assume they play an afternoon baseball game. So, yeah, go watch the baseball game. Come over for the nightcap of the doubleheader if you can get a ticket, which is a big if, actually, at this point. And then we got to tell people that because the men's basketball game between Florida State and Miami was played at 9 p.m. For some reason on Wednesday night.
Man, we've got the Cal, Stanford, Dallas footprint of SMU. We got it's only 6 o'clock.
We got to do the 9 p.m. game. So we do not know how that turned out. Let's hope the Noles won and got Leonard one step close. Well, it'd be fitting for him to go out with another win over Miami.
Yeah.
Right? Like wouldn't that be like 15 out of 16? I know I'm jinxing it right now. And as you're listening to this, you're like, Corey, they lost 100 to 61. But if they were to have won, that would have been 15 out of 16, which is incredible.
Man, and for as tough as things have been for Florida State this year, got a little bit more tougher, man. They got to head to Louisville this weekend.
Yeah.
And then they'll host North Carolina on Monday. And then they got a nice little break, though, until they go back.
Duke, right?
Go Duke. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's why he really needs this one if he wants to get – he needed this one on Wednesday night. Let's hope he got it so he could get to 200 career ACC wins.
All right. So with that said, that is a wrap for us, but not for the week. We'll do a mailbag show for you folks. Generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Get your questions in over on the Tribal Council of Warchant.com.
Or any craps advice you might have.
Yeah, we'll take some of that too. Yeah. Because certainly I'd like to play that. I think it'd be cool.
It's fun.
Have everybody.
It's intimidating, but if you know what you're doing, it's chaos. It seems like chaos, but it's communal too. Everybody's cheering for the same thing.
Yeah, but does that put more pressure on you? Like, do you feel, I don't know, more anxiety because there's 10 people you don't know around you that are putting their money on you, helping them win? Or you're just like, hey, whatever, that's your choice. I can't.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I didn't roll this time, but no, I wouldn't care about that. I'd feel bad if my buddies bet heavy on me, thinking, Corey's about to roll and he never rolls, so he's about to have that new luck roll. And then I crapped out on the first roll. But no, I wouldn't care if people I don't know lose money on me. That's their fault.
Can you give me a quick example of just like a high stakes moment in a game of craps? I mean, does it build up, or can you just walk there and then the action is just through the roof from the jump?
So normally when you're just trying to hit the point, you can win. You can win. Let's say you could have $60, $70 out there for the person to make the point. So there you go. That's an extra 70. Or if you're playing odds, it's an extra 100, which is good money. But what my friends hugged about was there's a bet where you can bet on the person to hit every number available other than a 7 during their roll. So you can bet on them to hit the bottom 6 and the top 6.
Is 7 the most common or something?
Yeah, 7 is the most common. Barely. It's like you have a 4-1. I think it's like 4-1 chances of rolling a 7, because there's a 6-1, 2-5, 4-3. There's different combinations to get there. So anyway, my buddies bet. They always do the bet across, meaning they bet on the person rolling to bet to hit every number, and they just they basically put $5 on the bottom that's 30-1 odds. The bottom 6. $5 on the top 6. That's another 30-1 odds, and then $5 for every number to hit. So that's 100.
So basically, roulette. I'm putting money on black 24. Like I want to hit 24.
And hoping, but you're doing and hoping it hits.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they ended up winning on a $15 bet. They won $1,100 because my buddy was the one rolling, and he rolled it and hit $1,100. So that was why they hugged. So yeah, and then I have another buddy that gambles like a madman. That's just a normal bet for him, and it makes me uncomfortable to watch. So I go to Pie Gal with my people. But that's it. The money you really make. The big payouts are like the hard 10s, the hard 8s. If somebody hits a hard 8 and you had $25 on it, well, that's $700. But those don't. That's why they're heavy odds, Aslan. They don't happen as much as you would think.
All right, there we go.
There you go. There's the tutorial from the guy that never ever wins and only kind of knows what he's doing.
We'll be back. Another show. Meanwhile, Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock, 93.3 FM in Tallahassee and wherever you can hit the old satellite in the greater Tallahassee area. But also Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel, which you should also check out. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. 5-star rating and review, please. He's Corey Malzahn. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.